Gendarmerie, you found me.
His slender figure is backlit by city lights, its distant streets and motorways flashing like diamonds. It feels like a Friday. He seems to be in a good mood tonight. And his shirt is still unbuttoned.
Beautiful. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Beautiful. I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Mm-hmm. That's why I chose this place. Martinez is special, isn't it?
Wait, suddenly you are digging things?
Yeah, it does feel like the end of the week. Such gentle weather. Trust me, you do. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you. It's my friend you're looking for, not me.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and looks around. It's getting dark and the neighboring windows have lit up one by one. Downstairs, a cat crosses the yard, disappearing into the bush.
Besides, I've got to run.
He's going to leave you alone again. That's sad.
To the city. It's a beautiful night.
Something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant's mouth as you're saying those words.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
And he's gone again. Looks like it's becoming a theme for him.
Different, of course. He smells good. He smells good, and that's weird. Come on, detective, let's go. We've got a potential witness to interview. His Sunday friend, remember?
You have acquired the hat. Keep it, officer. It looks good on you.
You shouldn't be seeing him in an intimate setting. For some reason you feel this man is your superior. Superior, but he's not in the command chain.
My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur la Clé. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good. Super. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Ask me about the hanging.
Hanging? What a drag. He seems like a cultured gentleman. You should ask him about the finer things.
I got it from the head of the Samaran delegation on my trip to Lomantang. It's made from a special charcoal-colored bamboo. It's an emblem of the formal normalization of our diplomatic relations. That's really all I can tell you about it.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
I'm sorry to say I did, officer.
Easy, detective. No need to jump to conclusions.
Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated. Interesting.
I couldn't see their faces well, and there were quite a few of them. But they were very loud and very Martinez. Let's just say that the laboring classes can get rather expressive with their profanities. I couldn't tell you exactly. Less than 10. Maybe 8?
The lieutenant sends you a sharp look at the mention of that number.
That's a giant you're describing. No, they were all quite human, as far as I could tell. I went back inside.
Yes, back inside. Keep yourself safe from the killing.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were threatening to kill that poor man. All men, I presume. But again, I couldn't see very clearly.
But we are fairly certain the lady driver was present.
It's possible, officer, but I cannot say with certainty. It was very dark, you must remember. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. You're right, of course. That is what one is supposed to do in such circumstances. I was simply in shock. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day.
It seems this wasn't the break you were hoping for. I think we have everything we need. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Vildrouin.
Of course, anything I can do to assist the RCM. The coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. This, of course, happened when the coalition forces landed here. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stabilité. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Intern. La Communauté Internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the Coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. It is the most important thing. It's the central goal of any sound monetary policy. Maintaining the price stability is essential to maintaining high levels of economic activity, which is essential for maintaining high levels of employment, which is essential for maintaining the social stability.
Basically, it makes sure the price of bread doesn't change.
Précisément. Too much inflation, bread becomes too expensive. Too much deflation, it becomes too cheap for bakers to produce. That's why the Institute of Price Stabilité works to keep inflation just below 2%. But not too far below, no. Too below is also bad. Below, but close to 2%. The coalition believes in the importance of informing the public about the benefits of the price stability. Transparency is one of our principles. Would you like an informational pamphlet? A sound monetary policy is essential for addressing uncertainty. Stability is the raison d'être of the Moral Intern. It's the reason why I identify as a moralist. But oh, I don't have my leaflets on me today. That's too bad. You can always call our information line. Making information available is part of the Moral Intern's commitment to transparency. It's the international organization for moralists, hence Moralist International. The Institute of Price Stability is just one of its many mind babies, as is the coalition.
There are more nefarious powers to work for than the Moral Intern.
But of course. Well, do you value freedom? Do you believe in a normal, stable world governed by democratic values?
Me? I'm a lieutenant of the RCM, dedicated to maintaining law and order in Ravachol.
A very moralist answer.
The lieutenant is practiced in the art of putting on a show for one's superiors.
The Occident is part of the normal world. Oranje, Sur-la-Clé. Martinez? No. Martinez is something else. Revachol is generally difficult. It's led by an interim government, which means it hasn't yet achieved full democracy. But they are working towards it. You're all doing very well here, relatively speaking. Is this option D usually the most reasonable answer? Sounds like you're a moralist indeed, my friend. Welcome. Moralism is all about compromise and achieving the achievable. It's pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed, an ideology for doers. Are you a doer, my friend? It looks to me like you are. Now, enough of this delightful political interlude. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? What's there to say? Sur-la-Clé is a modern, urbanized country that measures very high on the Human Development and Freedom Index. Mostly, though, it's known as the executive heart of EPIS. Moreover, it is a great sponsor of less emerged countries. Revachol is only one of its many darlings whose progress it supports and cherishes. Because a great percentage of Revachol's culture hails from Sur-la-Clé. Its language, its people, its cuisine even, or at least in the downtown La Delta area.
Jamrock and other parts of the international zone have been mercifully spared of Sir Leclerc's love for meatballs and mashed potatoes.
Oranje is an exemplary nation who, as a core member of EPIS, contributes 28% of our annual budget. Next to Sur-la-Clé, Oranje is probably the most prominent member of the international community. As founding members, they are both very EPIS. Oranje carries a lot of political weight, while Sur-la-Clé takes care of the business side of things. Sur-la-Clé hosts the headquarters of the major EPIS institutions. Oranje's economy is one of the most advanced in the world. It has successfully transitioned from heavy industry to advanced services and generally acts as an engine for sustainable change in the international community. About what? Oh, it's very urban and very well organized. Their streets are clean, their horse cars run on time, the people are polite and efficient. Like I said, they are an example for less emerged nations to follow. Whatever you wish, officer. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. But he understands the importance of education. He has taken his future into his own hands, and that's all that matters. Kedra is a candidate member of APIS. But, between you and me, their potential membership is a more contentious issue. That it's never going to happen. They entered negotiations in 21, and it's been pending ever since. EPIS is a very special program developed by the Moral Intern to support certain Occidental nations. It began as a unified system of weights and measures, which proved to be a wild success. Nothing but kilograms and centimeters as far as the eye can see.
God, yes, sweet standardization, the backbone of rationality and commerce.
It was such a wild success that we expanded it into an economic union for the processing of steel. Another success. And between you and me, the Moral Intern feels emboldened by this success. Emboldened to take EPIS to the next level. Why, it stands for progress and stability, like the Moral Intern as a whole. It's been such a wild, extraordinary success thus far. We are very excited to take it to the next level. A supranational political alliance, the United States of Occident. You mean Revachol? No, it's going to have transparent democracy. It's one day going to be a candidate member of EPIS, sure. No, candidate members do become members. Why do we even have the whole system in place if they don't? It just takes time. Time and evaluation. But we were talking about my friend here, not politics. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Isola? Oil platforms ablaze in the night? Civil wars lasting for years? Finally, the international community is forced to step in. One of the wonders of democracy is that everyone is allowed to have his own opinion. And not just allowed, encouraged even. Have you ever tried debate? Debating. You should consider joining a debating society for adults. I hear they're oodles of fun. I used to have a flyer for one, but now that I start thinking of it, it was for an improv class anyway. It's this funny theater thing, you know? Very creative. Helps relieve stress.
A chill runs down your spine as you envision a half-dozen people in professional attire standing around a chair, awkwardly pretending to be waiting for a motorbus. It's neither funny nor creative.
Sorry, who? But I told you, officer. He's a bright young man here to pursue his education. Education is the foundation of our future, especially the arts. It is a cornerstone of our civilization. Officer, you have to understand. I can't give you his personal information. I'm sure you have your own methods and databases, right? Please don't put me in this situation. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes.
As though you weren't envious enough of the boy as is.
He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is open wide for a talented youth like him. I'm just enjoying the view. Listen.
A baby is crying in the neighboring apartment.
No, listen. The Insulindian Bay. This place used to be a luxury accommodation before the revolution. Apartments, of course, were much bigger then. A few walls have been added here and there, leaving some of the tenants without a private bathroom or a kitchen. But the million real view stays. You can't take that away. My friend comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's a busy bee. I'm all ears, officer. A moment, officer. Do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And I'm pressed for time. After you leave, I should be leaving as well.
That's not the real reason he's so apprehensive. Men in his position shouldn't be seen loitering around in underprivileged young men's apartments in the middle of the night.
Of course. I'm sorry I couldn't be the break you were looking for. Good luck with the investigation.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate political opinions somewhere in Martinez. It's also about that, but it's also more. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin, but something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. Yawn. You'd get there faster with a little speed. Speaking of, when are you going to get on that, bub? History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. Tisk tisk, just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What rationality? What a fucking joke. Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe, partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow? That's right. Remember, Real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.